I use the word Buddhism guardedly, as it's, I feel, a misleading description for the body of teachings left behind by Siddhartha Gautama. It implies a conventional religion replete with a God figure that worshippers follow. Surely the Pali Canon, the earliest records of what the Buddha taught, suggests that Buddha was not a Buddhist or teaching Buddhism, that he was always discouraging any fixed views, that he urged his students to think for themselves and even question his own teachings. He was unwilling to be worshipped and forbade any representation of himself, statues, drawings, and the like, a request that was honored for up to 100 years after his death. The term Buddhism is a Western and relatively modern name for what was otherwise known as Buddha Dharma, the teachings of the Buddhas, who are those who achieved perfect wisdom. The core of the teachings are about waking up to the end of suffering. They are referred to as the Four Noble Truths. Life entails suffering. Selfish desires that cannot be secured are the cause. The cessation of suffering is attainable, and there is a path for its attainment. The Eightfold Path offers practical guidelines for ethical and mental development with the goal of freeing oneself from attachments and delusions. Great emphasis is put on practice in the real world. Living according to the Eightfold Path is not easy and goes against the current, as Buddha put it. For example, it's often just those things that we are sure will make us happy when in fact they are contributing to our suffering. Each of the 8 elements of the path should be understood as highly interdependent. The Eightfold Path calls for appropriate view, intention, speech, and action. It asks us to be careful about how we support ourselves, to make great effort, to be self-disciplined, to actively observe and control the way our thoughts arise, and to cultivate one-pointedness of mind. The path is presented in 3 sections: prajna, mind-purifying wisdom; shila, ethical, wholesome behavior; and samadhi, deep concentration or meditation. By avoiding behaviors which cause internal ethical confusion and anxiety, one is able to calm the mind and the emotions, still one's attention, and truly notice the basic conditions of reality in the arising and passing of phenomena. These conditions touch all phenomena, and they are anicca, impermanence, constant flux; dukkha, unreliability, dissatisfaction; and anatta, no separate self. The Buddha asserted that one who sees conditioned arising sees the Dharma. This, of course, is a vastly oversimplified summarization of the Eightfold Path, which the Buddha called the stream. But as one enters the stream, 3 obstacles are completely abandoned: belief in self, intractable skepticism, and clinging to vain rites and rituals. 7 more obstacles will need to be abandoned to achieve perfect view. Perhaps underemphasized and left unmentioned by many teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh being a notable exception, is that even when short of full enlightenment, the action of being relaxed, present, and aware concurrently with following an ethical path of harmlessness is highly pleasurable. Obviously, Buddhism and the whole body of teachings that have developed over time are not immune to these characteristics of reality. For example, Zen and the idea of just sitting and noticing the rising and falling of phenomena was a genuine, real practice. That was an innovation, or perhaps even a rebellion, from the Chinese Buddhist orthodoxy of the 5th and 6th century. As Buddhist teachings spread, they adapted to be understood in different cultures. Two major divisions manifested: Theravadan, the old school, and Mahayana, the new school, as well as many other sub-schools over time. Great scholars and practitioners in each of these cultures and sub-schools contributed to deeper understanding of the basic teachings, while others may have complicated, obscured, or often fabricated, or even fabricated some elements of these teachings. This brief lecture on basic Buddhism will leave out the subjects of karma and rebirth, as they are highly controversial and subject to many interpretations and deserve a lecture devoted to those ideas. Some say that the teachings of the Buddha can be summed up in one verse: to cease from evil actions, to generate all that is good, to cleanse one's mind. This is the constant advice of the Buddhas. Another essential principle of these teachings is the understanding of causation, that from an undefined ground of being, phenomena or events arise in relation to other phenomena and events, and then also in relation to other phenomena and events pass away. One hears that the Buddha taught that all things are empty and that the self does not exist. Perhaps an easier way to grasp this is to recognize that nothing has a separate existence, and that even oneself does not exist in a separate, independent state. One may ask, well, what about the soul? The disconcerting truth is, there isn't one. The Buddha considered the word soul used by ignorant people to express a false idea. If everything is subject to change, then man and women and animals and all living things and all non-living things are included. And every material part of a person must change, and there can be no immortal survival of a changing thing. Even the aspect of ourselves that we consider our essence exists only interactively. The Buddha considered belief in a timeless soul a source for egoism and an impediment to enlightenment, and this view is a key departure from the orthodoxy of Hindu Brahmanism that prevailed at the time of the Buddha. Please offer your comments. Let's have full discussion. Don't hesitate to be critical. YouTubes are welcome, or clips from Wamiya. Thank you.